classrooms of a village school to the highest summits of global science, Sir's journey is shining testament of his own words. Excellence is not a destination, it is a lifelong discipline. Honored with Padmashri and currently holding the Bhatnagar Fellowship, Sir's highest honor of CSIR, Sir has served the nation as a National Science Chair, J.C. Bose Fellow, and now a Emeritus Professor of Amiens for Life at Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. With over 150 national and international awards, Sir's pioneering work spans green chemistry, net zero technologies, catalysis, hydrogen energy, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and process safety, shaping both industry and national policy. Sir is among the few Indians elected to the US National Academy of Engineering and National Academy of Inventors. A prolific scholar and inspiring mentor, Sir has authored 570 plus research papers, hold 137 patents, and guided 117 plus PhD scholars, nurturing generation and scientific leaders. We truly set Sir apart in this transformative vision for university. Sir's powerful mantra, the 3 Ps, that is patent, publish, and prosper, urges institutions to become engines of innovation, entrepreneurship, and societal progress. A national policy maker and global thought leader, Sir continues to shape the India's roadmap in green hydrogen, circular economy, and science strategy. And beyond all these, Sir is also a poet, philosopher, and humanist, deeply rooted in Sanskrit, Vedas, and timeless wisdom, a rare harmony of intellect and soul. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are welcoming a visionary who truly turns into impact, knowledge into nation building, and excellence into legacy. So please join me in giving a warm, heartfelt, and welcome to our plenary session, Padmashri Professor Dr. G.D. Yadav, sir. I would like to invite Dr. Bhavesh Bharad, sir, Dr. Pratik Kanchan, sir, to felicitate Professor G.D. Yadav, sir, with a memento. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite our plenary session judge, Professor Dr. G.D. Yadav, sir, to share his wisdom with us.
Excuse me, participants, anyone who is whose vehicle GJ12DG0287, please remove their car from that place. Anyone? Okay, thank you. Sorry, sir.
Thank you very much. So, I think please settle down. I have to catch a flight, so I will not take much time. I chose a very interesting title for my talk. That is the 3P mantra. That is patent, publish, and prosper, which I have followed in my life. So based on my experience, I'm going to tell you how do we build universities as innovation and startup hubs. Next slide. Yeah. Now look at our Honorable Prime Minister's dream of Vikasit Bharat by 2047, so-called, developed nation. It says hike manufacturing share in GDP to 25%, and that has to be smart manufacturing, not just ordinary manufacturing. Auto sector to 10%, pharma and biotech to 500 billion, capital goods to 2.5%, electronics good to 3%, and now in the recent budget you have seen that a lot of impetus is given. Improve labor force to 65%, achieve 10% share in global professional services, and increase female labor force to 50%. And all these things will be possible only when we generate new IP and protect that IP. Next. And since we are in an academic world, you know that this NEP 2020 is a very big dream. That is again an innovation in higher education. It's an innovation in higher education. And one of the things, the fourth number is use of technology in teaching and learning and removing language barriers and critical thinking and creativity. That will lead to creation of IPR. Next. So this slide I prepared with the help of AI, but I tell you something interesting. Today, in 2026, this is US's economy is $31.8 trillion. China is 20.7 trillion. Japan 4.5 trillion. India almost 4.5 trillion. Okay, these numbers can be debated. And UK is 4.2. So we are number 4 economy now. We want to be number 3, and it cannot happen unless we create IP, translate that IP into practice, and that will lead to growth. Next. And that's a very interesting thing. So just yesterday only I got it, that you see this. So my previous slide was based on this information. Top 50 economies of the world, and it is not just top 50. India is the most populous country in the world. Our aspirations in 2047, we will be 167 crore people. And we want to be at least $30 trillion. How it is going to happen unless we innovate and translate that into practice? Go to the next. Yeah. So this cartoon I prepared very interestingly. This is CTS, ITS 40 years. This is the Olympic motto. Okay, this is Olympic motto. That is stronger, faster, stronger, and higher. Okay, so that is the motto. So what do you want to do? You want to be faster? Push toward the faster and more efficient effort. That is what you have to do in the academic world. Improve speed, efficiency, accelerate progress. And Dr. Unnat Pandit gave very interesting statistics, how the Ministry of Commerce, in fact, the very first time they started this program in Delhi, they honored, IP creators. And I was one of them, felicitated by Piyush Goyalji. Next is higher. To aim higher, challenge limits. Can we do that? Can academic world do that? And stronger 40 years. So you have to build strength and support a team. So very important. Every stakeholder in the system must participate in that. Okay, next. And this is the so-called triple helix model where government policies matter a lot. That is industry, academia, and government. They must work in tandem. And government policy, according to me, is the most important thing, because I sit on the committees where I chair some of these policies. Like, for example, it is mentioned that I chair this hydrocarbon policy. So policy is the one which makes the nation. Next. Now, what is a traditional model in academia? Publish, right? So you have all sorts of publications, spurious publications, genuine publications. Okay, there are just publications. People put their name on the paper without knowing what is there inside. Okay, multi-authored paper, single-authored paper. So for decades, university measured success by number of papers, and in fact that was one of the things in the NRF ranking. I had objections to that because see, if you have more number of people, you will have more publications. That does not mean you are the best. Publications created knowledge, but little translated into products, startups, and national wealth. The countries that prosper, they convert research into IP and enterprise. That is what is important. Next. And the problem. So what happened? Universities became excellent knowledge creators. In fact, earlier the colleges were not allowed to have postgraduate programs or PhD programs. Okay, or doing research. Now everything has changed in recent decade. So thousands of papers were published, but how many became products and companies or created jobs? That is fast. It did not happen. So that gap is what we must now bridge with policy and incentives. Go to the next. So what is a global shift? The top global universities now measure success by patents. That is what they do. And the startups and industry impact, not only citations. We are very happy to say, a lot of Indians write this. I am in top 2% of Stanford University. It's all humbug, I'm telling you. There are 605,500 Indians who are in that top 2%. And that is based on Scopus database. What is the meaning of that? That means you are active. It means only that, nothing more than that. But then people are, making use of that. And that is not Stanford University. One of the professors in Stanford University who does this, it is a metric which is created. Go to the next. Now, interestingly, since Dr. Patel is here, and I would not like to say anything, what can be protected and what should not be protected. Utility patent, design patent, plant patents, improvements, everything can be patented. And there are some schemes which I know through experience. One particular CSR lab got the patent. It was an Italian invention just because they missed to extend the temperature range, and they got a patent because they went beyond that temperature. So this is improvement. Go to the next. And novelty, utility, and non-obviousness, these are the three factors which are important for patenting. You may have a crazy idea, okay? And very interestingly, when somebody patents something, somebody else says, I also had that idea. Then they said, why you did not patent it? There are many people who claim that. Go to the next. Now, what cannot be patented is abstract ideas, mathematical formula, E equal to mc square, you cannot patent. It's a nature's law. Naturally occurring substances, physical phenomena, and inventions that violate public morality or safety, that cannot be patented. I was in Canada during 1980s, and there was a very famous case. Somebody in Texas said he creates more energy than what he's giving, which is against the nature of law. Right? Cannot create more energy. That debate was going for a number of years. Of course, he never got a patent, but he was saying, you cannot explain it, that means you cannot claim that as a patent. Go to the next. So patents converts an idea into an asset. This is very important. Asset building is patent. Asset building is patent. So it attracts industry, funding, startups, and investors, so-called venture capitalists. In the USA, there are so many people. Even one of the best examples in India was Ratan Tata, who used to invest in a lot of these startup companies. He used to believe that this will give boost to India. Without patent protection, innovation rarely translates into economic value. That is a fact. Go to the next. Next, madam. Yeah. So I tell you my own personal experience. When I filed patent in 1991, it took 5 to 10 years. Now, Bunnaji said you had under 110,000 patents or something. And this last year, 2020, that was in 2024, and it went to 134,000. It's very good. That means you are encouraging. And you have got more number of patent examiners. And how did I patent my idea? Bombay University, Mumbai University did not allow me patenting. The papers were lying with them for 1 year. They said disclose everything. After we give 35 copies. So ultimately I went to DST TIFAC. They allowed me to patent, but the Mumbai University gave me a sort of warning. You are responsible for this patent. You pay your own fees and you are responsible for everything. That is the problem. When I became the Vice Chancellor of Institute of Chemical Technology, I used to tell my colleagues, at the most I will lose 3,000, 5,000. I am not expert in everything. Patent, send, apply. The patent examiner like Dr. Patil, they will examine it and throw it in the gutter. I'm not real, but I cannot stop you from patenting your idea. That is what is required in today's world. Now, go to the next. So, interestingly, patent is not a certificate to be framed. So, in some universities, private universities have gone and I've seen certificates of patents. And I will tell you one country which gives patents. I will not name it for proprietary reasons. You apply and you get a patent. International country. You know what they say? Let somebody else challenge it. And they make money. They don't examine anything. So I told the university vice chancellor, remove all these things. I know this country, how they give patents. Don't show that. Because, they felt we have got so many patents. But none of them was valuable. So, go to the next. So, publishing validates knowledge. So, the next thing is pillar, publish, credibility. You may patent something, but people may not know. So, if you publish something, because a lot of data are generated, people will know that you have also patented your ideas and people come to know that. Okay? So, here, high quality research builds global reputation. It increasingly be problem-driven, industry-linked, and application-oriented. Many times, the application we may not know when the patent is filed. Okay? And sometimes we file patent to stop somebody else to enter into that field. So I got a patent where one famous international company did not want anybody to come into that area. They had 17 patents which were forbidding others to go into that area, but we broke their monopoly by inventing something else. But it was not patent by that name. It was under different name. So you have to read between the lines, and the patent attorneys must be very smart. Now you can take help of AI. Earlier it was not there. We had to go through piles of data. Okay, so strong science, strong of IP, and strong impact. This is what happens when we have patent. Go to the next. You connect it there? Okay. Go to, okay. Publishing is essential, but it should be increasingly solving the real problems. And the best innovation today are patented first and then published, strategically. And I will give you some examples from USA, okay, and some from India. So, paper to product, that is what, Dr. Unnat Pandit was also mentioning, that prosperity is not just a revenue, it means student entrepreneur, job creators, regional development, sustainability, and social impact. So, one of my students, he was a PhD student, he came to me and he said, sir, I want to have a startup company. I said, go ahead. I did not refer it to any committee. I said, I approve it. Because I felt if I don't give him permission, and he will still do it, right? And the institute will say, lose something with a good, and believe me, that boy has a business which is now almost 100 crore. But his idea started during PhD. One of my own students, he did his PhD and came and said, sir, I said, do you want a job? He said, no, sir, I want to do something. You are always encouraging us to be entrepreneurs. So, yes. So, I said, why don't you start making impurities? Pharmaceutical industries need so many impurities and they are not available. Now, he finished his PhD about maybe 10 years ago. He has 150 scientists working in his lab now, and he exports these impurities to all parts of the world. That is the idea. Okay. So India has created now, thanks are due to Ministry of Commerce, innovation entrepreneurship through Startup India, incubators, CHR research funding. And actually I will tell you CSR funding. I have been saying it for a number of years. Corporate social responsibility can be used in many different areas. We had earlier restrictions, and I said 2% should be increased to 3%. 1% extra should be given to higher education and all this startup culture, research and innovation, because that is where we are lagging behind. Right? We should give that, and university now must fully leverage this opportunity. So now what university must be? Research excellence alone is not enough. We need IP cells, industry links, incubators, and entrepreneurship culture with campuses. It is possible now. It was not earlier. It was not there. Okay, and now there are so many lawyers. Earlier there were not many lawyers. Some of you are lawyers, right? You are doing that job. Good. So what is the mindset shift? We must remove from degree-centric to innovation-centric innovation. That is what we are supposed to do. And training students not to just to seek jobs, but to create solutions and enterprises. Okay, that is what we should do. So future universities, the great universities of the future will be known for how many problems they solve, how many startups they have done, and whatnot. Okay, that is another thing. Now, last clear is prosper. Universities are economic engines, and I have a slide little later. I tell you who said that first, how it became economic engine. University should generate startup, entrepreneurs, skill innovators, industry solution, regional development, sustainable technology. All those things are in today's world. We are talking about greenhouse gases. Also, he talked about green hydrogen, decarbonization of economy, waste to wealth. All those things are there. So, question is, how to achieve institutional excellence? We always like to give NRF ranking. Okay, NRF ranking. And they say, oh, my university at this stage. What did you do with that ranking? Okay. Who are the stakeholders in pursuit of this excellence, and how do you sustain excellence? This is where policy matters. So world-class universities' role. Universities are helping us of creation of new knowledge, student-centric, job-oriented, and cutting-edge knowledge. This is where patenting comes into picture. It has to be disruptive. The knowledge, sometimes it could be incremental, and incremental knowledge also, new knowledge, you can get patent. Okay? So innovation should guide university education, and of course everywhere societal development should be at the core of that. And now these are all sorts of rankings we have, IOE, NAC and NBA and whatnot, and everybody takes the ranking, and sometimes the magazines also rank. They rank you if you give them advertisement. Many people used to come to me. I said, I don't need it. I don't need your ranking. They will say, sir, we'll put your picture there, 1 lakh rupee page. I said, thank you. I don't need it. This is what happens. Then we have graded economy, Institute of Eminence. So this ranking is here to stay like Aadhaar. Okay. So brands are not created overnight. Brand name and hence perception can be misleading. The old brand makers do not like the new. It's like the old IITs don't like the new IITs. I'm telling you publicly. So if you want to join the old IIT, you have to join the new IIT, then migrate. That is what they're doing, because IIT is a brand name. So suppose some you have an IIT somewhere else, that will be valued more than some of the old universities, because that brand is there. So public perception, so I jokingly said IIT Dharavi, that is Dharavi is a slum area in Mumbai. If I open an IIT there, they will rate it better than ICT Mumbai. Because the name is Dharavi, IIT, right? Okay, anyway. So the ranking is a very well weightage is given, and the international ranking agencies, whether it is Times, okay, or the QR ranking, 40% marks are giving. Nobody knows what is the criteria they have used. So that is another problem. So increasing research. So what has happened now? Research can be multidisciplinary, multi-department, intra-department, multi-institutional, multinational, and all sorts of things. And that is where they also give grades to you. So how do you do this? So ranking is also important, but whether that ranking has created new knowledge. My personal experience is no, it is not. It's just a name. It does not mean it has created new knowledge. So then again we have a problem. Central university institutes versus state-funded institutions. Huge difference. Huge difference. So when the NRF was introduced in 2016, ICT was number 2. So some of these other institutions said, how can ICT, a small university, deemed university, be number 2? They changed the criteria. So everybody likes the criteria favorable to us, right, to them. So that can happen. So this is one of the things. So problem with state universities that how do you recruit good faculty, talented faculty, and retain that faculty? For example, you are law school here. This is a law school. How do you retain a good lawyer in the university? He will get very good cases outside, lakhs of rupees for appearing or sometimes postponing the case, right? Next hearing. You get lawyer. So why should you work in the university? There has to be something which is, in the system which is built by which you remain, you create new knowledge, and also you are allowed to practice, okay? Something like that. So, national policy, this I will not talk. Okay, I will go to this. Yeah. So look at some of these universities. They are globally renowned universities. The National University of Singapore was nowhere in the top 100. And now it is always in the top 50 because of the government policy. The government encouraged them. They gave a lot of money. They recruited Nobel laureates, retired professors from USA and whatnot. So it is required. It is required. We can do that. Berkeley, Stanford, Chicago. Chicago has maximum number of Nobel laureates, that University of Chicago. Okay, Caltech. And so what can we learn from that? So like Cambridge and Oxford and old universities, we know that. So what happened? There was a question by QR ranking. How will you rate the Water Resource Management Department of Harvard? Their public perception. Everybody ranked it number 1. But there is no water management department. They wanted to test the public whether they really go by the brand or really go by, and USA they don't rank that way. The deans of the various schools or faculties are asked this question. You rate other universities or faculties except yours. And that is how they decide the ranking in United States. That's what they do. So what we have to do is why these universities are ranked and how they have created knowledge, new knowledge, how they have generated IP, and what we can learn from them. So, yeah. So this is, one of my favorite heroes from international, Susan Huckfield. She was the first lady president of MIT in Boston, Cambridge, Boston. She said universities are the engines of economic growth. She said first time. She was a medical doctor. So what did she do? MIT is a great name. One of the top 1 or 2 universities in the world. But what she did, she collaborated with there are 32 universities in Boston. But that area is 65% population is floating. They're all international students and whatnot. She raised $3.3 billion and she went beyond departments of school. She said we have to collaborate to generate new knowledge. And that is important. It is not just because MIT is great, therefore I should not generate. But, respect breeds respect. If you are respectful and you respect somebody else, that breeds. So strength begets strength. If you are strong, obviously, you will be respected, not big. So, Susan will change the fortune of MIT. And so this slide I made it last night. See that? Very interesting. In 1970, India, China, and USA were close in GDP. Of course, Indian rupee was also, there was a little gap. See, then something happened. The oil embargo in 1974. That was the first tipping point. That is the adversity creates an opportunity, and that opportunity you must grab with both hands. That is what USA did. So they just started doing research. They said crude oil, okay, we must do something now. And then another tipping point was in 1995. That was the so-called Gene Town, the biotechnology innovation. That was the second revolution. So first revolution and we also got Bombay High in 1974 because we were literally starving for energy. Now Trump has imposed this restriction, but we know that that is an opportunity to innovate and do a lot of ideas. So they see that India's 4.5 trillion, 20 trillion in China. And so what did China do? China liberalized its economy in 1979. We were late. We did it in 1991. Right? So this is also one of the reasons. So government policy matters a lot, whether you want to become great nation or not. So, but very interestingly, what is the role of universities in this American economy? Two centers. One is so-called Silicon Valley in the West, and another is the so-called Gene Town, Greater Boston. These are the two places where innovation happened. Okay, and see that. Now remember, those two universities. One is Stanford, area 35 kilometers square. MIT 0.68 kilometers square. The rest of the America is 9.8 million kilometers square. And look at the GDP contribution. 4 trillion, 3.4 trillion, and 23 trillion by rest of the universities. So all these innovative ideas came from two universities because of their policies. They recruited best of the talent from across the world. Right, like our IIT students go there. They don't do anything for their undergraduate research. We do. So, but their policy was such, they said, come to our country, innovate, so you know that many times we see these videos, so many Indians are leading these IT companies. Okay? So this is another interesting thing. So in what it means, behind every innovation lies a great university. And all universities can do that in India. And in that universities, I include IITs and other institutes also. So university is not a collection of buildings and affluence of facilities. You may have best facilities, but nobody is there to use it. You don't have innovative minds to use that facility. But of inspiring and great teachers, innovative students, supportive alumni, and dedicated support staff who are active and vibrant participants in the creation and promotion of new knowledge and innovation. That new knowledge is related to patenting. Right? So look, so this is, I'm giving an example of two different professors. They are billionaire professors. So sometimes our Indian professors think they cannot contribute to economy, right? At the most, they will have tuitions, private tuitions. But what is happening? Robert Langer, Bob Langer, 1,500 plus patents, 400 plus companies, including his own students. One of them is ICT students. Okay, one of them is. They have established so many companies. George Whitesides, 134 patents, 1,200 public, 300 plus mentor students. He has most of these postdoctoral fellows. And what do? They create new knowledge, create new companies, startup companies, and then afterwards this. So remember one thing, during Moderna, this mRNA therapeutics, this during COVID, this was done by Bob Langer. The company was started by his student. Okay? Momenta, Moderna, all these things. And there you see Ginsheim, Geltec, Theravance, all these things. And both of these guys have been nominated for Nobel Prize. So one is, of course, an engineer. Another is a chemist. But he's more applied. George Whitesides is more applied. We gave him honorary doctorate. He came to ICT a number of times. So you see that the university professors who are billionaires, because of their IP, their intellectual property, and they created a system where the students can have their own startup companies. So it's a very interesting, so you look at this thing which he done. And George Whitesides, when he came to ICT, gave a lecture and he said, universities are set up to incentivize, reward creativity, good teaching, daring, intellectual daring, running counter to conventional thinking. And corporations are set up to legally return stockholders to put in money, and the corporation is supposed to give back more money. Right? That is why they are. So this is the difference between these two. But this is what, George Whitesides said when he came to ICT. And so, now, how do we make industry accept our academic R&D? Because we have a lot of R&D going on. We publish a lot of papers. So, focus on practical and cost-effective innovations. If you focus on that, obviously, you will get money. You will be rewarded because my title is 3P. Patent, publish, and prosper. And simple, low-cost implementation appeal more to industry. Industry also will not put in hundreds of crores. They will put in some money. Sometimes because there is a tax benefit they might give. And perform techno-economic, so-called, TEA analysis and scale up studies. So, up to TR level 3, you can do it in the lab, but 4, 5, 6, 7, say up to that, further requires incentives. And this is where government support is very important. In fact, I used to chair this committee of DST, so-called innovation, incubation, and technology enterprise. Now this is changed, but I chaired that committee for 4 years. We give a lot of money to many, innovators. Develop market-driven industry-involved R&D. Why can't we do that? So it is not just the idea is theoretically brilliant idea, but practically of no use. So you must have that applied component in your research. Reduce risk for industry and fosters. Industry does not give free money. There is no free money. If they give 100 rupees, they expect 1 lakh rupees back. Right? If not 100. Okay. That is the idea. So now I tell you, top patent producing universities in the US, and I also compared Indian thing. California system, 13 campuses. This California system produced this year 5 Nobel laureates. One single system, 5 Nobel laureates. One of them is their alumnus. So imagine what they must have invested. Stanford University, on the left-hand side, so that is percentage. So in this, 74%, 73%, 70, 71, 87. These are the number of foreign students who are the co-patent holders. That means they allowed the policy, they allowed this foreign talent to come, participate, innovate, generate new knowledge, get patents. That is what they did. In our country, we cannot recruit somebody from the neighboring state. Correct? That is our policy, how stupid we are. We are not allowing people from neighboring states. So I recruited some people in ICT. So there were some Bengalis and Keralites. So they asked me, how did you recruit them? I said, they are knowledge creators. Do they know Marathi? They asked me this question. Now this is a problem. I said, in what way? I love Marathi. I studied in Marathi medium. Marathi is my mother tongue. But I don't think it is required to generate new knowledge. To communicate with common people, yes, I must know. So once they are inside, they will learn the language. But that cannot be the first condition. I convinced the chief minister and I was allowed to do that. But this is what it is. Remember, all these numbers show that they welcome global talent, and that is why they could create new knowledge. Now, you know what is happening recently. And now, I did this last night. Some of the data, of course, I have taken from your this thing. IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, and I put ICT also. I said, let's just compare myself also, because I used to encourage people. See, the blue chart strip is actual number of faculty, and orange is patents per year. This is approximate number. So you see the number of faculty versus patents. This is one. Because you have huge number. You give 700, 800, and they give 100 patents. I'm not surprised, right? So I said, can I do a normalization? So I did this. Patent productivity per faculty, and I put ICT also. This is 2025. See, IISc Bangalore 0.62, ICT Mumbai 0.54, and you go down. So innovation efficiency is rising at IISc and ICT outperform largely than the IITs per faculty. Precisely this kind of data I used when ICT was made, what is that? University with potential for excellence, national center. State government did it in the assembly because I showed them what we are doing. And so we increased the retirement age to 65. None of the other people could do that, but I got it done in the assembly because I presented data. I said, what my faculty? I said, my faculty, very talented, they are retiring at 60 and, IIT and Central University is 65. Why should they lose? And you know what? Our life expectancy has grown like anything. In the year 1900, ladies lived 43 years. Males lived 38 years. And ladies became grandmothers at the age of 30. 1900. Ladies always live longer than men. Remember this. They have better genetic makeup. Now, ladies live 75 years, men 68 years. That average is growing. In 2047, we will have many people, septuagenarians, octogenarians, nonagerians, centurions. We will have many people who will be living long. And some of the biggest diseases will be, for example, depression will be a very big killer. Cancers, Alzheimer's, obesity, whatnot. So we require innovation. People are living longer. The new kinds of diseases are also so-called AMR, antimicrobial resistance. Everything is increasing. So I think this is where innovation is required. So this slide shows how with little faculty. So innovation, efficiencies, patents per faculty, national wealth engine. So we see that even in this, ICT is number 2. Okay, I just created this data last night. And so what is the problem? Why industry is not coming to you? Because what universities can do and what industries can. They don't trust each other. That is the problem. In India, the industries don't trust the academy. They say, hey, this is a professor. Hey, what does he know? So that is what is happening. So another problem is IP commercialization. You must have an IP cell or something to commercialize. You don't have it. Most of the universities don't have it. So I have some suggestion about that. So what is the revenue? Large gap between university and market. You are training students in IP. This is very good. I must compliment your university, Gujarat University, if you are doing it. It's a very good thing you are doing. Missing university and industry collaboration. There is no collaboration. Missing policy, insufficient support for encouraging spin-off. We don't allow spin-off. Okay, now professors are allowed to have their own startup companies. Earlier they were not allowed. And most of the states are not allowing. Still they are not allowing. They think the professor will make more money. They are worried. Right? But the babus are really worried. They don't like the professors to make good money, consultation. And missing technology transfer officer. So this is missing in India, whether they are IITs or any missing technology transfer office and technology licensing office. That must be there in every university and IIT if we really want to be Vikasit by 2047. So there are, so again, now how do you do that? Through technology transfer. That means somebody who is already, trained in that art. So maybe you have a legal luminary there. He comes, or somebody from industry. There is a team that is through technology transfer. Okay. The next is through by licensing. You can license it. Or transferring proprietary rights through joint ventures. JVs are allowed. But you know what? We have Section 8 company, right? That Section 8 company only can do. Universities or IITs cannot be directly partnered because they are also established under some act. So you create. So when I was the chairman of this committee, first thing I used to ask them, do you have a Section 8 company? Unless that Section 8 company is there, you cannot get funding from us. I will not give you funding because that money is not research grant. It is for something else. Maybe you have a pilot plant and things like that. And I'm telling you still, CSR system except NCL and one more, I think maybe CCMB, none of the other labs can have, incubation in this center, for Section 8 company. I must have told many times. They said, no, we cannot do it. We wanted to give them money. They said, no, we don't accept your money because we cannot do this. So this is the problem. This is where your office, Nilesh, you should raise this issue. All academic institutions, CSR labs, DRDO labs, and all, ICMR labs, they must have this, So then university startups and incubation. And through patent enforcement, this is very important. The University of Wisconsin, they had a fight with Intel. They said they stole their IP. They stole it. So, out of court settlement, in India, the court cases go, lawyers I should not say in front of lawyers, they may be ages. Your grandchildren may be coming by that time, the case is still going on. What they say, let us settle it out of court for money. So University of Wisconsin got $350 million out of Intel because they said they proved that you have stolen our property. So many times you see between Apple and Samsung, there is fight. They say you stole my property, So that is very important through patent enforcement, and this is what the legal people can do. Settling out of court is always a good idea. You agree, lawyers? Loudly, say loudly. Okay, yeah. Because otherwise you go on for ages, and you earn money, of course, but at the same time, that is not good for the nation. So licensing, I told you, transferring property rights through joint ventures, I said this through. So the next frontier of university will be transformation of data restriction using AI and machine learning. That is going to help universities and create IP related. One area largely accumulating data is the healthcare sector. In healthcare sector, every 71 days, knowledge doubles. So many patents, you mentioned, Dr. Patil, you mentioned, the ratio. Most of these companies were from US and Europe. They filed patents here. They were in healthcare sector. And sometimes drugs. So they have hydration. So 2 water molecules, sometimes you will say 1.5 water molecule, gets another patent. So they tweak with their patent to get additional patent or extend the expiry of that. So yes, so healthcare sector, a lot of things will happen. Then technology transfer office, I told you that. There are also faculty members who do not believe in filing patents. And they say, my knowledge should be in the public domain. I know some, I will not mention his name, somebody very renowned scientist. He said, no, I don't want to patent. I said, very good. But he's missing a point. His institute would have benefited by that tremendously. Your sharing formula, right? So-called revenue sharing. And so looking at the best, no, this I will not say. So I will tell you a little bit about ICT, how ICT made this. ICT alumni contribute about 8% to the Indian exchequer. How many of you would believe this? 8% of GDP comes from our alumni. We have almost 800 first generation entrepreneurs. And the richest man in the country is our alumnus. Okay? And there are many others. Okay? So you can see this. So we are not just chemical technology, biological sciences, energy sciences, chemical, material, green, nano, bio, everything which we do in ICT. So when I was the Vice Chancellor, I told my colleague, my dream is to be in top 100 in the world. Our small university, Vice Chancellor is telling them, my dream is that. I said, unless we dream big, nothing is going to happen. And I always say that do not underestimate yourself, who you could be tomorrow. Because the rich, the poor, the marginal, the underprivileged, they all studied in ICT. The richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor were our students, and we encourage everybody to do something. So this is based on that. So I always gave them a global perspective. And I also, the courses were changed in such a way that they can serve in any other country. But I tell you, this is unparalleled track record of 92 years on 16-acre campus. And then we have produced 3 Padma Vibhushans, 8 Padma Bhushans, and 8 Padmashris, and 2 Fellows of Royal Society. One single institute on 16 acres of land, very quiet, nobody knows us. The outside Chaiwal also doesn't know us. The footpath dwellers don't know. They say Dagadi College, that's the stone college. Why? Because we are not in the media. We are all quiet guys. Okay? So when I was there, I created these 2 campuses. Indian Oil, they gave me 800 crore under their CSR. And Maharashtra government gave Marathwada campus in Jalna 397 crore. And so we changed the courses. We made a lot of these different types of transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary courses. Executive MTech. So, and very interesting, choice of research problem is left to the professor and the individual, what they want to do. It is not we force them. They are given a choice to which guider, who they want to join, which group. We never tell them, you join. I never tell, come and work in my life. I say, go somewhere else, it is good for me. How many I can accept? So word of mouth, alumni faith in their alma mater, that is responsible for ICT as an institute. And research has been an integral part since 1934. Research has been an integral part. Many of these guys in Ankleshwar, Vapi, or Hyderabad, they are our graduates. Okay, they are our graduates. So 3-pole model. When I was there, we filed 406 patents. Okay? And they were in different areas. We got almost 169 of them. And one of the things, sharing IPR. So what I'm saying that, what is my formula? Whosoever supports us, 50% IPR is shared with that industry or sponsor. They have the first right to use it, the IP. If they don't use, we will sell it and we'll share the profits. And in that, 80% is given to the faculty and the student who is working, and 20% to the institute. That is the formula I adopted. So anyway, so all these missions are chemical centric. So it's ICT is very good this thing. So ideas have to thrive on freedom to practice. So if you give freedom to your colleagues, they will definitely do a better job. So embed industry internship, apprenticeship, and live projects in every semester. That is required to create this new IP. Otherwise, you cannot create that IP. Establish centers of excellence jointly run with industry. Now, this is possible even under so-called CSR. Now it is possible. It was not possible earlier. We can do it. And ensure co-teaching by industry practitioners. I had appointed 110 faculty members from industry. The so-called professor of practice, which is now, I was the chairman of that committee. So UGC had one model, AICT had another. They said, I said UGC's model is what? The professor of practice is not faculty. I said, when it came to me, I said, professor of practice should be faculty, and why only PhD holder should be professor of practice? Bachelor's, master's, anybody, because it is practice, right? So there are many brilliant people. They are not PhD holders, but they are much smarter than the so-called PhD people. I know it through experience. So it is not that. So I removed that thing. So assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, distinguished professor, that is possible now. And I told AICT it must be included in the faculty to student ratio. It is included now. So otherwise, nobody is going to pay professor of practice and he is not a faculty. Yeah, it is very odd thing. Sometimes we do odd things. Create innovation hub, startup incubation and venture labs within the campuses. This is what is required to be a really great Vikasi Bharat by 2047. Okay, and encourage students to work on national missions. Right, we should do that. And collaboration. The great aim of education is knowledge. That is what Herbert Spencer said, but action. Universities must not merely confer degrees but create new knowledge, drive innovation and nurture entrepreneurship. Sometimes they act as such, no, they don't encourage anything. We don't encourage counter thinking. See, one of the complaints I get from American professors where I recommend my students to go for higher studies, they said the students are very quiet, they don't question. They don't want to question the professor. That is not there in America. They exactly opposite. They want professor to be questioned. So Susan Hochfeld, I said, no, universities are the harbingers of economic growth. She did this. So finally, so somebody asked, what is your legacy? I said, what is legacy? Really, future generation will decide. But I said this. Doing my duty is the first thing. I should not be looking forward to getting the rewards. Right? So that is, the goal isn't to live forever, is to create something that will live. That is the game. So finally, academic institutions must concentrate on generating new knowledge, cross-disciplinary research and collaborations at national and international levels. Some leading institutes must adopt trimester system. I introduced this first time in India much before. So trimester system, every alternate term the student goes to university. Suppose you are law. So every alternate that you will have some intern, whatever you call them, intern or whosoever. He comes and learns in your office. Leadership and management will decide the future of universities and not governments. Government doesn't come in your way. It is us only who are responsible. It is very easy to say no in a university system than say yes. You might have experienced this in your own university. Hey, you go with a paper to the vice chancellor, he says no. What are you going to do? You say, well, vice chancellor says no. But if he says yes, he takes the responsibility. If he takes yes, he takes the responsibility. All colleges and universities must teach IPR to all students, which I said, and you are doing it, so I'm very happy. Not all patents make money, but some can block others' entry into the business through technology transfer. This is very, very well-known fact, particularly in pharma industry. So commercialization can be achieved by licensing, by transferring property rights through joint ventures, university startups, and through patent enforcement. So this can be done. So remember the 3P mantra I said. Patent for protection, publish for credibility, and prosperity for the When knowledge is protected, translated, and we talk a lot about translational research, universities become nation builders. So thank you so much for listening to me. I don't know. Yeah, I can take a question or two. Thank you very much. You have any question? You want me to close? Okay. So I close. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for nurturing us with your profound words. Now I would like to call Dr. Chetna Bujard, Head, Department of Environment and Legal Studies, for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mamta ma'am. Respected Padmashri Professor Dr. G.D. Yadav sir, distinguished dignitaries, respected panelists, colleagues, and their participants. On behalf of the Center of Excellence School of Law, Gujarat University, I am Dr. Chetna Bujard Vyas, Assistant Professor and in charge Head Department of Environment and Legal Order, and also GDPDTM, Controller General of Patent Design and Trademarks. It is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this enlightening plenary session on the same, the mantra of 3P, patent, design, and prosper. We are deeply grateful to Padmashri Professor Dr. G.D. Yadav sir for his visionary address and for sharing his invaluable insights that truly inspired all of us to think beyond conventional academic boundaries and move towards innovation and entrepreneurship. The power of innovation and IP skills protect our ideas, create impact, and change the game. So, I also take this opportunity to thank you, our conference director, Professor Pratik Kanchan sir, and conference convener, Dr. Bhavesh Barad sir, whose leadership and dedication made this session a grand success. My heartfelt thanks to all organizers, faculty members, student volunteers,